It can be hard to get your big idea started, to write the first lines of code for software that will change the world, to hire the team that will make your dream a reality. That's why we built a different cloud, one that's comprehensive without complexity, that gets you up and running in minutes and stays with you every step of the way. Because simpler tools lead to happier developers, and happier developers get better results. Build with us. Grow with us at DigitalOcean.
Ta-da!
And we're live.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. It is June 9th, 2022, and this is Cloud Chats. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
I have
Absolutely.
misplaced my window that has our notes in it.
Oh, do you want me to
what
read the title?
Yeah, what's the title name and the episode number?
So this is Season 2, Episode 15. 15 already.
Wow.
It is the 9th of June today, for anyone that's watching this later on. And our title this week is WWDC, Spare IPs, and GitHub Notifications.
Yes.
I wonder what we might be talking about.
Oh, hello. So we've already got some comments. So if you're watching live, please say hey in the chat and let us know where you're watching from. We've got Danielle from, I don't know where, but they're saying good afternoon. So they must be in Europe or some Africa. Oh, we've got I Mathed It. Hello from Minneapolis. Hello. Nice to have you. So while that's happening, let's do our hello world.
Let's do it.
I really like this one. All right. So the question for the hello world is, would you rather go to a sci-fi convention or a Renaissance fair? And I think we should just find those two things just to be safe. So, so yeah, someone tell us, what's a sci-fi convention?
I don't know. In my head, I think people might disagree with this, but I would put even Comic-Con and stuff like that into sci-fi convention, which I think might, I don't know, maybe stretching it a bit, but that kind of thing, a bunch of nerds get together in a convention hall for a bit.
Oh, thanks, Daniel, from the Netherlands, saying, thanks, people from DigitalOcean, for the great products you guys have worked on. Loved using them. Awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, so we've got sci-fi conventions, which is nerds getting together, usually in an indoor space. And then we have Renaissance fairs, which are when people go to an outdoor event where there are reenactments of the medieval Europe. And a lot of people dress up for that. So
indoor nerds and outdoor nerds.
Indoor nerds and outdoor nerds. All right. So would you rather go to a sci-fi convention or the Renaissance fair? Let us know in the chat. Otto, why don't you let us know? Which one do you prefer?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it would have to be the Renaissance Fair. I feel like working in tech, I'm surrounded by sci-fi like stuff every single day. So the Renaissance Fair is kind of an escape.
I like that. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel I'm kind of with Adam on that one. There's a bit of me that goes, the sci-fi convention is probably actually quite a nice break from the tech I'm around, gets you exposed to, I don't know, more stuff. But also Renaissance Fair's I don't know, dreamy. Disney-esque is what my brain goes to.
Oh, okay. I like
Yeah.
that. So
it feels like a very good bit of actual kind of escapism from the real world.
So sounds like Renaissance Fair for Matt.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm also Renaissance Fair because it's outside. Where I live in the US, COVID is sort of making a comeback. So I'm trying to stick outside. And since it's summer and I don't live in a place that's as hot as Las Vegas, Nevada, outside is where I will be. I think where Otto lives, summer is we stay indoors in the summer because it's so hot, and then we enjoy the rest of the year outside.
That is a good point, actually. If I was doing a Renaissance Fair, I would have to come to the US to do it.
Is that a
It would be
US?
quite a miserable, rainy, muddy event here in the UK.
Oh yeah, that would stink. I like I mathed its response. I would go to where the food is greater, maybe the Renaissance Fair.
I would think so. Yeah.
Known for the big turkey legs.
Yeah, you can't go to a Renaissance fair without getting the 20-pound turkey leg, Dad.
That's a big turkey.
And lots of fried food, and I mean, what could be better?
It's true. It's true. All right. Well, we got a lot of people. We've shown some of the comments, but hello, Tech. I think Tech is from Nepal. Jose from Southern California, welcome. Danielle from the Netherlands. We've got Bra from Iraqi Kurdistan. Adrian from Ghana. Peter from Kenya. Samuel from Nairobi, the continent of Africa, is representing. We've got Fana from Cambodia. And Amit, we missed you. Welcome back. So thanks. We love our audience. We've got such a great global audience.
It's so wonderful to see every week, just the different country names that rock up.
It's true. It's amazing. So welcome. All right. Are we ready for the next segment?
Shall we jump into some news?
I'm excited for this week's news. All right. I will share my screen. So first we have releases, and there's only one thing we're covering this week. And that is
what's hilarious is none of this is actually released yet.
Promised releases.
Yeah, promised releases. So for those that didn't see, it was WWDC, or is WWDC this week. And so we got the keynote, as we always do. Obviously, WWDC is Apple's developer-focused event. But they still announced a lot of stuff that applies to everyone, just themed around developers. And so there are a couple of big things that we heard about. We heard about M2, the new chip. We heard about iOS 16, iPadOS 16, and macOS Ventura. So where do we start? M2?
Let's start with M2.
Supposedly an 18% performance gain. This is Apple saying 18% performance gain, and they are known for somewhat selecting the benchmarks that they use to determine those numbers. But it's an improvement on the M1, so I don't think it can go wrong really. However, it is only currently the M2 chip. M1 has M1 and then also M1 Pro, M1 Max, and M1 Ultra. Those haven't been announced yet for M2, but one assumes they will appear at some point. But currently, unless you got a base M1, the M2 is any more performant than a base M1. The Pros from the M1 series are still better.
So is the M2 being shipped in any products, or is it just which ones?
So on the Apple website there is new MacBooks. There's a brand new MacBook Air with a new design. Which is pretty cool.
They brought back that charger.
MagSafe is back.
MagSafe, yep.
Yep. So there's a new Air, which is like not just a new chip inside an existing Air. It's a completely new Air.
Totally
so that's got the M2 in it, and then there's also a base model MacBook Pro 13-inch that has the new M2 in it as well.
Oh wow!
But the rest of the rest of the MacBook Pro series still has M1 Pros, Maxes, and Ultras in them.
So
Apple's naming conventions are really challenging.
So what's whether it's with Apple or another hardware provider, what's your strategy when the M2 comes out? Do you wait till the updated, more performant versions of the chip come out, or do you buy it right away?
I don't know. I feel like Apple's weird in that there's a huge kind of fan base around it that will buy the device kind of mostly for the sake of buying the device.
Yeah.
So I think a lot will buy this, but unless go ahead, Ado.
I was just gonna say, for me, I really wanted to get the new Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra chip, but it's on back order for like 3 months. So if
Oh.
you buy it now, you won't get it till September.
Mm.
And so, at this point, I might as well wait for the M2 Ultra.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I think unless you're kind of happen to be in the immediate market for just you need an upgrade and
Yeah.
you want something base level, like the new Air or the new Base Pro, darn good laptops.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a pro device, you might be better off waiting for the new Pro chips to come out when they do, if they do.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Zam says the MacBook Pro M2 is the weirdest product.
It is. It's still
Yeah,
got a touch bar as well. Like,
Oh, geez. Yeah, I'm the if you happen to be upgrading around that time, I'm in that category.
Yeah.
And I think I have a MacBook Pro as my personal laptop. It's pretty old at this point, but I have had a few Airs in the past, and I love the MacBook Air. So maybe I'll go back to that.
that's it. And what's really interesting is, as far as I can tell, the new Air and base level Pro are pretty much the same spec.
Wow.
It's just that the Pro has active cooling in it.
Ah,
But they're like, as far as I can tell, they're the same chip and everything else. So honestly, you could just probably get away with getting an Air and making sure it's on a stand or whatever.
yeah. Thomas says, hot take, one con for Apple products are for how many pros they have. I'm with you. Yeah, like Matt said, the Apple naming scheme is tragic.
You can get, you can get a MacBook Pro with an M1 Pro in it designed for the pro audience.
Oh, and Zam says the Pro doesn't have the MagSafe charger.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
All right. It's another
I think it will come back. The fact that
another
it's appeared,
yeah.
I
Oh
think it'll
yeah.
be,
Oh, I miss you. I miss you,
also,
MagSafe.
what's really cool, actually, this is a really kind of Apple thing. No longer is the MagSafe just one cable. It's now a themed cable.
Oh,
It matches your
really?
MacBook.
Oh, very nice. Excellent. Is it gonna what happened to my last one? It kind of frayed right here.
Yeah,
Ah.
Apple cables have a tendency for that.
So maybe
However,
not
this
that.
is braided rather than kind of the old style
That's true.
plastic ones, so it might last a bit longer. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Any other Apple announcements we should cover?
That's M2. Hold your horses. We had iOS 16 as well, which is iPhone. The
iOS.
OS that runs on iPhones.
Yeah.
It's available in developer beta now. I think public beta next month,
Mhm.
and then generally gets released kind of mid-fall.
September-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the thing that I took note of. You'll be
Yeah.
able to edit or unsend recent messages in iMessage.
iMessage is becoming a proper messaging app at last. You can edit a message, unsend a message, and you can also mark things as unread at last.
Oh, that's nice.
Like,
I'm
wasn't
so
a feature
excited
before?
for it. I'm so excited for editing because the one I hate texting on my iPhone because I make a lot of thumb typing errors and then I send and then I'm like, if I had Slack or Discord, I could edit this.
So there are some caveats to that. I think editing is limited to the first 15 minutes, and it shows that you've edited it. And unsending only works on devices that are running iOS 16.
Oh,
If you
okay.
unsend a message that
Dang.
was sent to an older device, the older device will just still see the message.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right, all
So-
my friends, update your
Yeah.
operating system on your phone.
We also
I would love to get a blog post talking about how Apple made those particular decisions. Like that must have been really interesting,
Mhm.
user research process. Yeah, what are the parameters around edit or unsend?
Yeah. We also got a new lock screen,
Ooh.
which I don't know, feels like a bit of my iPhone I don't really ever think about. I see it for 2 seconds whilst I'm unlocking the phone. But
Yeah.
in a very Apple way, it's now pretty similar to how an Apple Watch works. You can define multiple different lock screens and switch between them, and it's kind of got this kind of complications theming style to it
Oh,
that the
yeah.
Apple Watch has.
I do like the idea of being able to customize parts of my lock screen.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. What else is there? Oh, Carplay, that kind of falls under iOS as well. Carplay's been completely overhauled. And the preview showed that it could take over like the entire UI of the car now, which is a pretty immersive experience. And also, it has now the same theming again that like lock screens and Apple Watches do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is
I
nice.
think the one of the features I'm most excited about is they showed the live text, being able to, you're watching a YouTube video of somebody coding, and you can pause the video and copy their code right from the image or from the video, which I think is going to be an absolute game changer
Oh wow! So you can
for
like
video tutorials.
hold up your phone in front of your computer, and like the translation will happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
in iOS 15, I think it was, they launched the ability to extract text from a still image.
Mm-hmm.
And iOS 16 brings that to, I think, like the camera app and then any video content as well.
Amazing.
Which is just, yeah. Like, oh no, it's wild to think how much processing is involved in that.
Yeah.
Like the iPhone can just do it.
Yeah. And then somewhat, I think the most controversial thing I heard from this announcement was the Apple Pay Later. Not sure if it's a feature. I guess it is.
Dead.
Yes, but now you can split up an Apple Pay purchase over 4 payments with 0 interest, and Apple says it'll work anywhere Apple Pay works. And I think some of these like short-term loan companies saw their stock value fall, or saw their valuations fall really rapidly.
All I'll say about this is at least it's 0 interest.
Yeah, this bullet point is worded very well.
But
I saw a chart a couple weeks ago comparing revenue of like a bunch of the tech companies, like very respectable companies. I'm forgetting the names, but we've all heard of them and worked with them. And it was like showing their revenue, and it was like $50 million a year, $800 million a year, $3 billion a year, et cetera, and then it showed AirPods. Just the AirPods product alone, and it was like $27 billion a year, like eclipsing all of the tech companies. So it just shows the scale that Apple has with just that one teeny tiny product. And like with Apple Pay Later, like they're taking over everything slowly.
Wow, that is mind blowing. That's like when you hear about companies whose like annual revenue is more than the GDP of like fairly large companies or fairly large countries. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. I just noticed this bullet point. It says if you use family sharing to limit your kids' iPad screen time, said kids will now be able to request more time via iMessage. Mommy, may I have more screen time? All right. Hey, Toon Army Captain, welcome. We just started with the WWDC announcements, and then Toon Army Captain says the iPhone looks like an Android.
Whoa, controversial take.
Fighting words. Otto, what kind of phone do you have?
I have a good old iPhone. I was on Team Android for a very, very long time. I had all of the Nexus and the Google Pixel phones and the Samsung Notes, but the thing that I realized over the years is Google promises a lot of features, and they kind of lure you in with all this customizability, but Apple's ecosystem just works. It just like I don't have to worry about it. It just works, and so I've been on Team iPhone for the last couple of years, and never been happier.
Nice. I wanted to call out this comment from Samuel. Says, I also love the M1 MacBook Air, but already feeling fear of missing out. That makes sense. It happens so fast that your shiny new device becomes obsolete pretty quickly.
Yeah. Also, though, I think with the M1 chip and now M2, those devices might stick around for quite a bit longer. They've just got such a performance lead.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
But we'll see. Remains to be seen. So that was iOS 16. We then also got iPadOS 16 because iPadOS is now just, I don't know, like a fork, an extension of iOS. This is pretty cool. It now supports external displays fully. So whereas before, if you plugged an iPad into an external display, you just got a mirrored, distorted version of the iPad. You now just get a second full screen desktop.
That's nice. That's amazing.
Pretty cool. And then to complement that, they've introduced a new window management mode thing called Stage Manager, which, I don't know. I think there were many other things you could have done for window management that would have worked far better.
So it's like this screenshot where you can have multiple apps open on your iPad.
Yes. So you can have multiple apps open at once in the main view and kind of customize how they're sized and positioned. I think it's up to 4 at once. And then on the left, you get a preview of all your other open apps or kind of compositions, whatever you want to call it, of apps. And you can just switch between them. So, I mean, it feels like a complete solution to window management. It's just not the one my brain settled on as the ideal solution.
Yeah, I think I had just come to terms with only being able to view one window at a time.
Yeah. I will say, I think
iPad and iPhone.
Yeah, this UI of Stage Manager makes more sense on iPadOS than it does on macOS, which it's also coming to.
Oh, that's good. So Stage this will be available on like Mac desktops. And
so kind of continuing Apple's recent theme of building more continuity between the iOS ecosystem and macOS. This Stage Manager view is coming to macOS, which will be interesting.
Yes.
Again, feel like there were better solutions to window management, but here we are.
Yeah. I did hear a lot of complaints though that a lot of these iPad OS updates are limited to the M1 iPads. So a lot of features, like I have a pre M1 iPad that I bought like a couple months before the M1 iPads, and I'll be missing out on a lot of these features. So that's kind of a bummer because I feel like iPadOS, even with the old hardware, like is barely using 5% of its capabilities. So it kind of feels like Apple really just wants you to move to Apple Silicon.
Which I don't know. I very much get your point that, you've got a device that is now obsolete very, very quickly. But I also do get why Apple wants everyone to be on M1 devices because it makes their lives much easier.
Yeah.
And then alongside Stage Manager, which is kind of like, I don't know, felt like the big thing for iPadOS this time, we also got a new app called FreeFlow, which is like a whiteboarding app. And it has real-time collaboration as well. And then that real-time collaboration feature is extended not only in FreeFlow, but across the entire iPad OS.
Oh, that's cool.
So most built-in Apple apps now have real-time collaboration. And obviously, this is WWDC. There's a very open API for third-party apps to implement it as well. So, Apple's coming for Google now.
Apparently.
Google Docs is going to be gone.
I would actually be sad. Sad if that occurred.
That was iPadOS, and then we also got macOS Ventura, which is the upcoming release of macOS. As I said, it's got the same Stage Manager that iPadOS has, and it's got a load of other a lot of the improvements that are coming to this iOS and iPadOS release are also kind of making their way to macOS. This whole kind of continuity thing between the two operating systems. And then another big thing that's got changed is Spotlight, completely overhauled. A lot of people use like Alfred as an alternative. And it feels like Apple's looked at that and gone, oh, if only Spotlight did that. So it's got rich previews, it's got quick actions, it's got a load of new stuff in it.
Oh, Mail app gets us undo, unsend. Very good.
Yeah. And then they also announced passkeys, which It's been around for a while now. It was one of these things that Apple released like 6 months ago, very quietly, and has just announced it. It's a different way of doing web authentication.
Nice.
Pretty cool. I like it. Metal's got a load of improvements. As always, Apple likes their games. And then continuity camera.
Ooh, now this is interesting.
You can make your MacBook look really stupid by clipping an iPhone on the back of it.
I feel like my little MacBook Pro wouldn't like having
fall
my
over, yeah.
iPhone strapped to it.
But assuming you're okay with doing that, what it does is actually really cool. So obviously, iPhone's camera has got a way better lens than your MacBook's webcam does. So it gives you a nice webcam. But also, obviously, the iPhone has wide-angle lenses. So it can do its kind of center stage thing where you can walk around the room and it will follow you.
Apple anticipated our comments. Clamping the iPhone onto your laptop looks a little goofy, but the impact on quality is probably worth it.
That's some good marketing speak, that is. And it also does a desk view.
Oh.
I thought that was wild. Like,
so
if it works.
You can have yourself in one view and then also a split view of your desk.
Okay.
From the same
this.
iPhone.
So like this screenshot.
Yeah. I suppose, I don't quite believe that screenshot is real. I'd be surprised if it is. But suppose it just uses the wide angle lens and then a load of kind of image mapping to distort or undistort the desk view.
Wow. That's pretty phenomenal. Huh.
So if it's as good as that screenshot, I'm going to be very impressed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. And
that-
Belkin's making a mount.
Of course they are. It'll be really, really expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to using an iPhone as a camera. I don't know if you guys have played with the Elgato has a I think it's like Epoch Cam that kind of does the same thing. It's not as integrated into into the OS as this feature will be, but it works really well. I really want a high quality webcam, and I have the Logitech, the 4K one that's supposed to be like the best, but it still doesn't compare to a DSLR or an iPhone. So if this feature works like they showed it at WWDC, I will be using it every single day.
Yeah, so I was impressed by how integrated it is. Like no cable, nothing. You just plop the iPhone on and it just starts doing it.
Hey, Samaya.
Say
hello from India. Would love to work with your company.
We
so
do
that's all of
internships.
Apple. We do internships, and we do hire in India. So check out our career page. Just want to call out some folks who said, "Hey, Calc says, what's up, Dio?" Oh dang! I wonder if this is true. Zam says it's $200 just for the mount for the Apple.
I don't know. I haven't seen any pricing yet, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Well, do you think people then buy iPhones just as their webcams? Just leave it on there?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there will be a subset of content creators and stuff that go, "That's now the best way to do it."
Well, especially this is the thing that's really blowing my mind, the split screen. If you're a streamer who, I don't know, does sewing or crafts or does IoT stuff where you're working with hardware, this is really nice.
Or keyboard people. Yeah.
Keyboard
that kind of thing. I can, if it's as good as this is, it'll be very impressive.
Yeah.
There you go. That is everything WWDC that stood out to me.
Good job,
I am
Matt.
sure I missed plenty of stuff. So
that's a lot of stuff.
Shout in chat if you have anything that you liked.
Yeah. Thank you for doing the overview. So that was releases this week. And now we're going to move on to the news of the week. I'm excited for the news. So Matt, tell us about this first news item.
Amy points out a very hilarious and correct thing in chat that I hadn't thought about. Yeah, that screenshot seems very fake now. Think about it.
Oh, you can see his arms like
Yeah, on the left, he looks like he's using a MacBook, but on the right, he's got what looks like a Mac desktop setup. Whatever. Well, when it gets released, we'll play around and see how true it is.
It's true. Also, hey, Amy, we miss you.
We do.
And we hope you're feeling better.
Alrighty.
All
Actual
right, Matt.
news.
What is this PR page?
Yeah, why are we just looking at a PR? This seems very not newsworthy. Well, because of one specific thing. The mention of the Epic Games /developers team in the initial comment at the top. If you hover over the /developers one.
The /develop. Oh, this one.
Does it show it still? Or is it actually removed?
Oh, it's not working for me. Let me see.
Yeah. Epic might have already actually cleaned it up. But so there's some context to this, which I'll go through first. Epic Games, you may have heard of them. They make the Unreal Engine, which is a game engine. And the way the engine works is that it's source available, which means it's not just open source. Not everyone can look at it. But you just go and agree to a couple of quick terms and conditions. You know, I've no idea what's actually, I haven't looked through it, but I assume it's like, I'm not going to leak this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you then get access to the source. So, source available. The way Epic does this, which caused all of this, you sign into the Epic Games website with your GitHub account, and then once you've agreed, Epic invites you to this GitHub org and adds you to a team. And that team then has access to the repository. Again, that seems fine on the surface.
Yeah.
However, that means that in the Epic Games org, there is a single team with, at the time of this, just about 400,000 members. And to be clear, those are not employees of Epic. They're random developers that just wanted access to Unreal Source. And so all it took was one person accidentally mentioning that team in a PR, and suddenly 400,000 email notifications went out. Because by default, if you mention a team and you're in that team, you get a notification email. That's the complete default behavior. It's actually pretty hard to opt out of that kind of stuff between turning off muting the team and like muting each repo and stuff. So I'm pretty certain that most people got the notification email here. But then it got worse. Obviously, pretty quickly, people start responding going, why have you pinged us?
Yeah.
And so it was one notification for 400,000 people to start with, and then 154 other comments were left on this, each sending another 400,000 notifications because the mention automatically subscribed everyone. So in total, it was about 61 million notifications that this thread in theory generated.
Now, was this something that this individual should have known, or was this like a GitHub issue or something Epic Games should have been thinking through?
So there's a lot of pointing fingers that can be done here. There's a reasonable argument that this user probably should have gone, maybe I don't want to ping that team, it's got 400,000 people in it. But at the same time, you know, not everyone is an expert at GitHub and knows how to check who's in a team. And it's, you know, the name implies that, I don't know, maybe you're mentioning just the developers of Unreal or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Admittedly, you know, this PR was not a great PR anyway, but that's a side issue. But actually, the person that made this PR has tweeted out since, kind of very apologetic for this, didn't intend for it. So I feel very, very sorry for them. They caused this. And then, you know, the other two kind of ways that fingers are pointing are, is Epic Games at fault for kind of misusing teams? Or is GitHub at fault for not really having a way to do this? And I think in the way GitHub is currently structured, Epic Games shouldn't have done a team like this. There is no way to disable mentions for a team currently.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
But at the same time, you then go, well, GitHub should probably have a way to have a team that can't be mentioned and that kind of thing, or a better way to manage repo access.
Yeah. Toon Army Captain says, this is a direct consequence of how Epic is adding everyone to that team to access the repo, though. So
yeah,
but,
in the current world of GitHub as it is, it's mostly Epic's fault for having this team. But Epic doesn't really have any other choice.
Yeah.
You know, there's no better way to do what they're trying to do, really. I mean, like, you could individually invite everyone to the repo instead of adding them to a team. But that's super messy.
That could be a full-time job in and of
Or
itself.
you just don't do it in GitHub, which is also not great. So,
what do you think, Otto?
It's well, I'm curious. What is the files changed? Like, what did the PR actually change? Was it just a doc?
It's one of those PRs that rewords the README.
Oh my god.
That's what I was saying. Like, this PR itself wasn't really a great PR in the first place. But you know.
Well, Amy says, love that the PR that notified every single person was called good looking.
Yeah, I was like, everyone got an email that just said good looking as the subject.
I would open that.
Is that such a terrible email to get?
I like this. An accident of epic proportions.
Yep.
Good job, Thomas. Maybe we should hire Thomas to do our joke of the week.
We should. But I will say, though, I feel sorry for the GitHub engineer that was on call, because I imagine... I suspect that 61 million notifications and emails probably caused some sort of blip somewhere.
I'm also imagining something. Yeah. So, all right. Well, this happens every couple of years, something like this. Yep. I think it's always fun to chat about. And yeah, it's good to point out some of the maybe deficiencies of like GitHub.
Yes, I think this is the biggest one of this kind of notification storm that I can remember on GitHub, and it's sat at number one for on Hacker News for a while. So it wouldn't surprise me if GitHub actually does something about this time.
Do you think, has anyone done like an estimate of how much this cost? Like how much GitHub paid for like the
I have never actually looked into how GitHub sends emails. It wouldn't surprise me if they run their own mail servers. So theoretically, then it's, costs them basically zero.
Yeah.
But if they're using someone like SendGrid or whatever, yeah, be an interesting calculation.
But Toon Army Captain also has a good point. GitHub didn't go down in any noticeable way, though. Correct?
No,
kudos.
We did not have a classic MySQL 1 locking up and taking down the entire site. No, I'll say there was no obvious blip to the outside world.
That's amazing.
But I mean, I say that the email deliveries for this thread took a long while.
Oh.
Like, people got the first PR notification, pressed the unsubscribe button, and still got the entire thread because of how delayed everything was.
That makes sense. Queuing system might have been a little overloaded.
I suspect the queuing system probably had a moment, but the rest of GitHub was fine. It was separate enough.
Wow. That's really something. Good job, GitHub.
Yeah. I was like, given GitHub's track record in the last couple of months, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Shall we move on to the next news item?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. The next news item is Elon Musk orders hiring freeze, warns of job cuts at Tesla in latest leaked email.
Oh, our favorite person.
So this is from TechCrunch, and basically there's a leaked email a week and a half ago where it seems like Tesla is going to instate a hiring freeze for salaried workers. And I think like the week before that, Musk threatened to fire anyone who refused to do 40 hours per week in the office. So sounds like Tesla, at least on their like software side, is pausing hiring and potentially downsizing.
Yeah, and the way they did the return to office is interesting as well.
Well,
To me, it kind of sounds like they're trying to get people to quit without firing them,
Yeah, that was my impression.
so that they don't have to pay severance.
there was a really big thread on Hacker News discussing it from some current Tesla employees, and the comments were saying, do not quit yourself because then you won't be eligible for unemployment. Make Tesla fire you if you really don't want to go back to the office, because a lot of people that were hired during the pandemic, they were told they could work remotely and that it was fine, and but now that we're still technically not done with the pandemic. I mean, like you said, Amy, like we're spiking again, and so it really does seem like a way for Tesla to reduce headcount by having people leave, more so than firing and giving them severance and benefits and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. No, that would definitely be a like, you fire me. Like,
Yeah.
you have to find me and fire me.
It's like, walk to my house on the other side of the country because I'm remote and fire me in person.
Yeah, like, first you have to notice I'm not in the office.
I
You have
saw
to document it.
I saw a meme last night that said, like, when a Tesla employee gets in their car, the car will automatically route to the nearest Tesla office, driving them to work.
That's hilarious. Well, as always, Musk is very good at being in the news cycle.
Yep. And we haven't even got the Twitter stuff in here this week.
I know. I guess
because that's still going.
My favorite part was, I guess, President Biden said something, made like a comment. Someone asked him in a press conference, like, what do you think of the Tesla layoffs? And he was like, well, these other car companies are hiring. And then he said, so lots of luck with his trip to the moon. And then Musk replied with this tweet saying, thanks, Mr. President, because SpaceX has been contracted to send the next set of Americans to the moon. So, ooh, I like it. Amy.
So,
I like this comment. We need Musk Watch as a segment.
We do. We do. I don't know. My brain with Tesla and SpaceX nowadays is, I think of them as companies without Musk involved.
Yeah.
Both the companies are doing amazing stuff. And there's no way getting around that. It's just their figurehead isn't the greatest person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you wanted an update on the Twitter saga, I think the last I heard was that Twitter has done a 180 and is going to give Musk data. They're like, we're just going to give him everything.
Here's
like the whole of Twitter.
Here's a lot of data.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Which, honestly, I'm excited for, because it means that, to me, it says that Twitter wants to force Musk into acquiring them. Because for them, it's a really good deal now.
Oh, yeah.
So I think now Twitter's going, we're not going to give you any excuse to back out.
Yep.
Here's everything.
Love
but
it.
There you go. There's the Twitter update.
All right. Musk Watch. Musk Watch, June 9th, 2022. All right. This next news item I'm actually pretty excited about. So this is from IT News, and the article is called Freeing Up Hundreds of Millions of IP Addresses Mooted. That's a strange
nice
headline.
I like it.
Yeah, but basically, okay, I did not know this, but in the 1980s, and I'm not sure who put these policies in place, but policies were put in place to reserve a lot of IPv4 IP addresses. And so there is a project, and I think Seth Shern, who co-founded Let's Encrypt, they're working on cleaning up some IPv4 stuff and like making these addresses that were set aside, like bringing them back into being available. And so they're hoping to, like give us more IPv4 addresses. And it looks like, let's see, in the article, it says, if this project works out, it would add some 419 million IPv4 addresses back into the mix. So, dang.
I don't know how to feel about this.
Ooh, tell me more.
The idea that suddenly like 127.0.0.0/8 doesn't loopback,
Mhm.
that's scary.
Mm.
There's gonna be a lot of tech that expects that entire range to loop back, and suddenly it's going to go to some random server on the internet.
Yes, that
It
would
feels
be
like a
strange.
very, very breaking change to make in a bit of the internet that generally people try very hard not to break.
Mm.
You know, to me, I'm like, why don't we just go and talk to some of the big companies that have stupidly large IP ranges assigned to them? I mean, like, I think the Department of Defense has multiple /8s assigned to them that just aren't used.
Mm.
You know, like, I get they're a government agency, so they got allocated those back in the day, but if they're not using them and we're at the point where we're going, we need to give loopback addresses back into the pool, feels like we should just take some IP addresses that are already in the public range first.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. What do you think, Otto?
I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. I think, I agree with Matt that if, companies that were granted a lot of IPv4 addresses that are just sitting dormant, I mean, they should be released to the public, but at the same time, you never know what the future holds, and hopefully, how is IPv6 adoption going? It's
terrible.
terrible. Yeah,
that's why this conversation is happening. I think anyway, it's like
That's probably true.
we rolled out IPv6 to solve this problem, and no one uses it. Help.
Mm. Well, I like Zam's comment. We need these IP addresses for our smart fridges, which is a callback to last week's episode.
And it's so true.
And then just want to say hey to Oscar Kevin XR. They say, loving this series, just tuned in for the first time.
Question mark,
then exclamation points. Maybe YouTube comments will be able to edit those in the future. But great to have you here, Oscar Kevin. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think the thing I'm interested in this is the actual process of freeing up these IP addresses.
Yes. So that's
if
this goes through, that will be very, very, very interesting to watch.
There's
how
this project.
They approach releasing this stuff.
Yeah, if you're interested, this project on GitHub called Unicast Extensions. Yeah. So. I don't actually know any of the details about it, but we'll put this in the chat. I'll do that right now.
Yeah. I think this is also looking at doing is releasing .0 from any range as well.
Mm-hmm, I think so.
Because currently .0 is used as a gateway address, and they want to solve that.
Oh, look at that!
And
file.
that's the /8 range.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I have no idea which file it's in.
I don't either.
I haven't looked through this.
All right.
Oh, there's a 0th networking one. That might be it.
That might be it. Okay. 0th. There it is. Fixing 0th networking. Making the lowest address usable. All right. Yeah. Okay.
So I all of this feels like a very breaking change. So I wonder how they approach it. Looking at the naming of this implies to me that it's going to be essentially an extension to IPv4 that you have to opt into.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not breaking for backward stuff, but who knows? It'll be interesting to watch.
Oh, look. Yeah, they've got a description of this particular extensions project.
Oh, what a wonderful theme.
Yes. Look at that banner.
Very PowerPoint 2003 vibes.
It is super duper. All right. Well, yeah, I'm curious. I wonder if, they just build this extension and, you just opt in. Or
instead of extending IPv4, we could just move to IPv6.
Whatever, Matt. There's too many numbers and dots in those addresses.
But think about it earlier. If they're going to do this, and you've got to now update your system to support this and opt into it.
That's a great point.
Why would you do that instead of just going to IPv6?
That's a good point. Maybe this is a secret ploy to get us to use IPv6. It's so complicated to free up these reserved
If you want an
IPv4
IP, you've got no
addresses.
choice now.
Well, that'll be interesting. All right, next article. I like this one. It says, "Dear Spotify, can we just get a table of songs?"
Right. Before we
Oh.
even dive into the article, I liked this just because of the site. It's such a simple site.
Oh yeah, it is nice.
It's lovely.
What is this site? Neil.com. Oh,
It's
like
just some
this.
bloke's blog site, but it's just so clean and
It
kind
is
of
nice.
old-timey, but it works.
He likes tables.
I like tables. All right.
Yeah, so I've had this same gripe for a while now. When you search on Spotify, you get a very weird result. I think if you scroll down a bit, there's a UI screenshot.
Yes.
Yeah, so by default, you get like one top result in a rich embed, then some songs, and then some artists, which feels like a really weird set of results to show.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you like click into one of those, say like you want to look at, I think his example was podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
you just get thumbnail previews.
That's right. And it's like individual episodes, not like the actual just podcast.
Yeah. And he makes, the very sensible point. Just give people a table list of things.
I mean,
what's so hard?
I was around and using iTunes in this era. I love this era of iTunes.
I actually don't get this one because I just opened up Spotify, did a search, and on the song section, if you hit see all, it does give you a table.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one extra click, but...
I think songs gives you a table now, but a lot of the other things don't.
Okay. Got it.
But yeah. I don't know. I thought it was a very nice little kind of short article that's just going,
Oh, yeah.
Tables have existed for a long time. They're a good way of displaying data.
I am a table fanatic. I don't think Matt can speak to this, and I don't know if Otto's noticed, but every Google Doc I make is like, there's a table. It was like, here's the thing, here's the due date, here's the person responsible. Like I learned to use tables like that when I was a school teacher. And so it's definitely my go-to way of organizing data. So I'm in favor of this.
That's like even our show doc has a table at the top just to organize information.
Matt did that. I love it. All right. Well, next up is our open source corner. So this is where we feature open source projects that DigitalOcean sponsors through giving credits. And so
we need a little theme tune for this.
I know.
Like a little kind of old-timey, cozy theme tune.
Oh yeah, I like that. So the first project we want to call out is called Async Api. They are building the future of event-driven architecture through open sourcing tools to easily build and maintain industry standards for defining asynchronous APIs. Ooh, that's cool. So this is an open source project, or I'm sure there must be some open source aspect to it. And they asked DigitalOcean for credits to host some of their project, and we give those out. So that's one project. And then the next one, I like this one as well. It's called Interactive Tutorials. This is their GitHub page, but it's all of these free interactive tutorials that I bet a lot of us have used at some point in the past, like learnpython.org or learnjavascript.org or learnrust.org. So yeah, we sponsor those. And yeah, if you're interested, Google DigitalOcean open source. If you have an open source project that you'd like to be sponsored, get in touch that way.
Yeah, I think there's an open source webpage that's soon to be overhauled completely.
That's right.
And there's also open source at digitalocean.com. If you just want to email us, someone will respond.
That's right.
It goes to that group email goes to a lot of people.
And then, do you want to talk about the functions challenge, Otto?
Or did I?
I jumped to the next thing too fast. Let's rewind. Whoop.
Yeah, we had one more announcement from the open source corner, and that is the open source summit in Austin, Texas, in 2 weeks, where most of our DA team will be. So if you want to come hang out with me, Amy, or Kim, hopefully we'll see you there. Open Source Summit, June 21st through the 24th in Austin, Texas, as well as virtual. Amy and Kim are going to be giving talks. Kim, do you want to tell us a little bit about your talk?
I'll talk about Amy's and then I'll talk about mine. So Amy's giving a talk on Tuesday, June 21st, and it's called Managing Your Serverless Servers Again.
Servers and serverless?
That is Amy's area of expertise. And then I am giving a workshop with the one and only Mason Egger on June 21st in the afternoon. And this is in the getting started cloud native track. So if you are at Open Source Summit in person or virtual and you've heard about Kubernetes, but you don't know what it is, or you don't know how to get started, this is the tutorial for you. So we'll be containerizing a Python application, getting that container image to a container registry, and then spinning up a Kubernetes cluster, and then deploying that image as a container in a Kubernetes cluster. So sort of the whole application development and deployment lifecycle using Kubernetes. So come hang out with me and Mason. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but so we need to hire Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas is on fire.
The continuing jokes is just.
So, all right. Well, that is the releases and the news and the open source summit. And next up, is it time for?
Hang on.
Okay, well, hang on.
First of all, Billy asked, did you miss a discussion on spare IPs? Yes, unfortunately you did. You can rewind the VOD or watch afterwards. TLDR, they want to give loopback addresses back to the open internet, which is an interesting decision. And then functions challenge.
Oh, the functions challenge. I totally missed that. All right, I'm going to leave it to you two to talk through this, but this is exciting.
Cool. Yeah. So we just launched this DigitalOcean Functions Challenge on Tuesday, so just a couple days ago. And a couple of weeks ago, DigitalOcean announced their serverless offering, where you can create serverless functions in a variety of different programming languages: Go, PHP, Node.js. And we thought we'd create a fun challenge for folks to try it out and build some cool stuff. And what we did was we built an aquarium where you build a DigitalOcean function in your favorite language and call an API, which happens to be functionschallenge.digitalocean.com/API/Sammy. You pass it a couple of parameters and you get your name and shark displayed in this virtual aquarium. And Thomas is killing it again with function junction. I love it. Yeah, and for completing the challenge, you also can get some pretty cool swag. And the challenge goes from June 7th until July 7th. So you have about a month to complete it.
Nice.
And we've already had a bunch of people. We have a bunch of sharks in the aquarium, but we're hoping to get many, many more. So I think we shared the links to the challenge if you're interested in participating and trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
We also have our Discord channel, our DigitalOcean Discord channel, where you can get help or just interact with us if you need any help further. And I think that's all there is to say on the functions challenge.
Yeah, if you get to this page, the instructions are here. Look at this beautiful table. And so, yes, we would love to see your name in the aquarium. I love this page.
Yeah, and we have a Discord now, which is pretty cool.
That's right.
Yeah, discord.gg/DigitalOcean.
And we've got a functions challenge channel there if you need help. It's true. All
Yeah, there you go.
right. Oh my
I love this.
goodness.
You can genuinely just leave this open on a monitor all day.
Oh yeah, I like it too. Beautiful. All right. Well, next up is my favorite part of the show is our Kahoot. Let me find it in my windows.
You lost the tab.
Man, it's hard. Live streaming can be hard.
It can.
All right. Well, we would love to have you join us for this Kahoot. It's going to be short 5 questions. And the way that you join is you go to kahoot.it and you enter the game pin 2869908. So join us live, kahoot.it 2869908. And while we give people time to join the Kahoot, we have our word of the week, which is, wait, do we have an overlay for it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got so sidetracked.
All right. I don't know that I'm saying this right. CUDA?
Yeah.
CUDA. Okay. So CUDA stands for Compute Unified Device Architecture. CUDA is a parallel computing platform developed by NVIDIA and introduced in 2006. It enables software programs to perform calculations using both the CPU and GPU. By sharing the processing load with the GPU instead of just using the CPU, CUDA-enabled programs can achieve significant increases in performance. So I have heard of CUDA, but I don't know, and I've used it. I assume it's something I don't think much about. But yeah, Matt and Otto, do you know anything about this?
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead,
Matt,
Adam.
go ahead.
No, you go.
Cool. So when I was at MongoDB, we built an application. So we were trying to play around with edge computing, and we wanted to build an application that would allow you to basically take a photo of any of the Olympic athletes,
Ooh.
and it would immediately figure out who they were using machine learning,
Ooh.
just based on their picture alone, and give you their name, who they are, as well as any of the Olympic medals that they've won. And
Cool.
trying to do face detection and machine learning is a very hard, resource intensive task. But with CUDA GPUs and infrastructure using the GPU to perform the calculations, I mean, it was almost in an instant we were able to take any picture, get it
Wow.
processed, upload data to MongoDB, get it back. So that's been my experience working with CUDA. And setting it up was and is very, very painful, just because the CUDA APIs are a little difficult. Thomas, kudos to you. But once it does work, it really speeds up your performance. So it's not for a lot of applications, but if you do need GPUs, it's magic.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
you.
and-
That's a great example.
And Kim, to your point about not something you really think about as a consumer, they're just there.
Yeah.
You'll hear it in a lot of NVIDIA's marketing talk as well. There's more CUDA cores in this GPU. And yeah, to an end user, it just means that games and stuff that use them are going to be faster.
Oh, cool.
It's like more processor cores in your CPU.
That makes sense. All right. Word of the week is CUDA.
There we
And
go.
I think we're ready for
Also, I
the...
would just like to complain to the adjudicator of Word of the Week. This is not a word. This is an acronym.
That's true. I'm the adjudicator, so your complaint has been heard and logged. All right. CUDA is Gouda. I think we're encouraging Thomas at this
This is
point.
good.
Which
I love it.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. All right. Well, we're going to get started with this Kahoot. The winner of the game will get some Sammy stickers. And I'm excited to share the theme of this Kahoot. It is Earth's ocean, since we are DigitalOcean. So this is a short Kahoot, 5 questions only. First question. The ocean covers about how much of Earth's surface? Is it 80%, 70%, 30%, or 50%? The ocean covers about how much of Earth's surface?
You know what? This is a very well-timed quiz. It was World Oceans Day yesterday.
Oh, nice. All right. A lot of us got the answer right. The answer is 70%, which is, a lot. I do like that picture of that boat. And let's look at the leaderboard. All right. In first place, we have Toon Army Captain.
Classic.
2 points behind, we have Autobot. And then, oh boy, in third place, Matt. If all these people got this answer right, why is there a difference in the rankings?
Kahoot is not just about getting it correct. It's about getting it correct fast. The faster you click the correct answer, the more points you get.
So, yeah, you want to be fast. All right. Next question. Although the ocean is one continuous body of water, oceanographers have divided it into 4 principal areas. What are those areas? Is it the Northern, Southern, Atlantic, and Pacific Oceans, the Atlantic, Pacific, Southern, and Arctic Oceans, the Atlantic, North Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, or the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic Oceans? All right. The correct answer is the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic Oceans. Looks like the majority of us went with this answer, but it's the Indian Ocean. I think that tripped us up. So the leaderboard, Autobot.
Ooh.
Otto, you got to slow down. You've already got all those stickers. Autobot is in first place. Cattywampus in second, and Geek 182. All right, we had a big change in the leaderboard.
Yeah. There's only 5 questions as well. This could be interesting.
The ocean holds how much of Earth's water supply? I like these options. Is it about 97%? All of it? About half? Or about 60%? The ocean holds how much of Earth's water supply? Wow. I didn't know that. I mean, I guess it makes sense. About 97%. Wow. Just I live in a landlocked place, so sometimes I forget that the ocean is most of the surface of the Earth, and
So
that
it's
most of
the
the water is there.
surface, and it's also ridiculously deep as well.
So we've got Autobot in first place, Geek 182 in second, oh boy in third.
A Toon Army Captain makes a very astute comment.
I do like this comment.
I would have said 0. It's not drinkable in the sea.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a trick question, but
all right. Next question. How much of the ocean floor have humans mapped with modern sonar technology? Is it less than 20%, about 40%, about 30%, or about 60%? How much of the ocean floor have humans mapped with modern sonar technology?
And here's a hint. As far as I know, less than we've mapped the moon.
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense. All right. The answer is less than 20%. I assume we've mapped all of the moon?
Yeah, as far as I know.
All right.
And like a lot of Mars as well. But ocean, who needs it?
All right, Autobot in first, Toon Army Captain back in second, and Bleeb84 getting on the leaderboard in third. All right, final question. Here we go. True or false? Scientists believe most species on Earth live in the ocean. True or false? Scientists believe most species on Earth live in the ocean.
Just because scientists believe it doesn't mean it will be true.
That's true. All right. Almost there.
This is a very vague question.
Oh, the answer is false. Oh, unfortunately, I don't have any follow-up on that.
No, not do I. Like, this is a very, very vague question. But I guess scientists think more things are on land.
Huh. Yeah, I pulled this from the National Geographic Kahoot.
Come on, Nat Geo, be better.
I feel like whoever was writing this phoned it in on the last question. All right, time for the podium. In third place, we have Bleeb84. Good job, Bleeb84. In second place, we've got Autobot. Good job, Otto. And in first place, who's it going to be?
Our old friend.
Toon Army Captain. Well,
Already.
as always, to Army Captain, if you want something, email me and we'll figure something out.
I feel like Toon Army Captain at this point has like 3 million DO stickers.
Yeah.
And we've
Well,
we've gone up the swag hierarchy.
yeah, Army Captain has most of the warehouse at this point.
All right. Oh, the difficult. Oh, I like this feature. Difficult questions. As a teacher, this is nice.
This is, yeah.
All right. Only 9% got the scientists believe, but again,
We're gonna have to email Nat Geo and find out what they were thinking there.
Dear Nat Geo Kahoot writing team.
Yeah. Please explain this question to me.
All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks, y'all. And I think it's time for. Oh, Toon Army Captain wants some Sammy slippers. We can.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can we do
that.
if we have them available? We can do that.
They're normally in stock. Not many people buy them.
Yeah, they don't look. I have a pair, and they don't look super comfortable for wearing as an adult. But I think kids would love them.
I said they are a bit small for adults. Yeah.
Okay. I gave them to my nephew, who is 12. So.
Oh, he'll love them.
All right. Well, it looks like it's time for what's on your mind.
Our favorite section, Cloud Chat's Therapy.
That's right. And I like adding a little ambiance.
Oh, I like that.
All right, Matt, what's on your mind?
Well, once again, I'm going to do the thing of I tweeted about this earlier. I tweeted about this on Tuesday, was it? Yeah. Someone pinged me in Slack and said, "Congratulations on your 3-year anniversary." And I went, "Wait, what?" But lo and behold, I've been here for 3 years.
Well, that's amazing.
I'm just, my brain doesn't quite know how to process that, because it means, that's roughly 3 years in one day since I sat my final exam at school.
Oh,
so it's wild to think it's literally only been 3 years since I was in school.
Oh, you mean like not university? I don't know what it's called in the UK.
Oh, yeah. So
we call it high school in the US, but I don't know what it's called elsewhere.
Do you call it college?
We call it college.
At 18.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, can you actually, what is your progression? How did you get hired at DO? And then how did you get to be a software engineer at DO?
Yeah, so it would have been when I was like 16, 17. I was like looking around the internet going, what do I do in my life? Deep questions like that. And I bumped into a project called CDN.js. And at the time, I was more focused on actually the community side of things rather than the engineering side. I looked at CDN.js and went, this is a huge project with literally zero community around it. Like, just nothing. And so I just reached out to their founders and went, can I join your team and help you like build a community, do some more kind of developer relations with that open source project? Because you've got nothing currently. Cool. And, they replied, invited me to the org. And I did that for 2 years whilst I was finishing up school, just maintaining that. Started doing more software engineering for that as well. I built the new website, the new API, that kind of thing. And then I was kind of like at the end of school, just again thinking like, what am I going to do once I get out of school? Do I go to uni? Do I get a job? And so I was just adding people on LinkedIn, and I happened to add David Dorman, who at the time was, I can't remember what the exact role was, but he was somewhere senior within demand gen and growth here at DO. And I added him. He accepted me, and then just out of the blue messaged me going, do you want to come and work for us as a contractor? And I was like, sure, I will come work for you as a contractor. And so, yeah, I just like that, I was working as a community manager at DO, looking after the Q&A section. And then just over time, I started, going, oh, this thing's not the way I want it to be on the Q&A site. Oh, this is a Ruby code base. I can figure out how to do that myself and make a PR. Got to know the dev team behind that site. Slowly shifted that way, and eventually kind of more formally transferred to being an engineering contractor. And then 2 months ago, I got hired full time.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I'd actually never heard that story before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like telling it because it's not very useful in a lot of ways. It was.
Say more about that.
I got so incredibly lucky that David reached out and just offered me a job out of the blue. And I think without that, there's very little chance I'd be here. But it does serve as a good example of, get involved in open source, do it because you like it, and people will notice.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of luck to it.
Yeah. And then Amy says, and now he's getting calls when GitLab updates on a Sunday.
Yep. That's how it is. Yeah. There's some benefits and some downsides.
That makes sense. Well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the caveat. There was some luck in there. But
it's just
you created the conditions for that lucky break to happen. Yeah, even just by getting on LinkedIn and trying to connect with a bunch of people.
Yeah, I don't know. 3 years feels like a really long time, but it also still feels like yesterday that I was at school. I don't know. It was just surprising that it's that already.
Yeah. Toon Army Captain says, random reach out is pretty much my story too. And then Aisham says, that's so cool, Matt. I hope I get a similar opportunity of offering my services to DigitalOcean in whatever capacity possible. So we actually do have some formal ways of getting involved with DO without being employed full time at DO. One of them is the Write for DO program, where we will pay you to write a DigitalOcean tutorial. And then you get to go through the editing process with our editing team, which is pretty cool. You have to be accepted and you have to be writing on topics that they're looking for, but that's one way. Otto, could you talk a little bit about Navigators?
Yeah, absolutely. And another way to get involved with the DigitalOcean community is with the Navigators Program, which basically, if you're a DO fan, if you're a fan of the open source community, we give you access to, interact with us, work on some of our open source projects, and just kind of share all the DO goodies.
I feel like we need a web page for these opportunities.
We do. We need a central hub of some sort.
Yeah. So there's Write for DO, there's the Navigators, and then we are hiring. So take a look at our careers page.
I say if you're just kind of coming out of school as well, we do internships once or twice a year. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. We've just literally the last couple of days onboarded our summer interns for this year, which is always super exciting to see.
Oh yeah,
a load of
really fun,
young, excited, bright faces ready to conquer the world and bring fresh ideas to everything.
It's so true. I'm like, wow, you guys are amazing.
It's not only that; it's just they don't have the context on things, which sometimes it's a bad thing, context on something. But a lot of the time, it means you throw out ideas that other people have just dismissed for arbitrary reasons and actually are totally valid.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like when you get a new employee and they're like, "Why do we do it this way?" And you're like, "That's a good question." You're really on to something there. So, yeah. All right. Well, this is what's on your mind. I'll go next. I guess Open Source Summit is what's on my mind. I've never been. I'm really excited. The way that Open Source Summit is organized is it's a Linux Foundation event. So it's big, like KubeCon. I'm sure there are other Linux Foundation events that I can't remember right now, but Open Source Summit is this big umbrella conference, and they have these smaller tracks underneath it. Like I said, Mason and I are doing a track in cloud native on-ramp, and then there's open source maintainers, and if you run an open source office, just a lot of talks and workshops about things that I don't always see at conferences. So I'm just excited to go, and I get to see Otto in person and Amy in person, and that's always really exciting to meet people and hang out in real life. So that's what's on my mind. I also need to get my workshop ready, so that's also on my
That's a classic DO thing, Just don't prepare that stuff until the last day.
Oh, I can't do that. too much for me. Otto,
live.
Otto, what's on your mind?
So Matter is on my mind, and if you're not familiar, Matter is the new standard, I guess, if we didn't have enough of them, of home automation and getting all of your kind of Internet of Things devices talking to each other. And the reason it's on my mind is because I recently moved last week, and I haven't set up any home automation yet, but I want to do it right. And Matter, it was supposed to come out earlier this year, where all your Apple and Amazon and Google devices were supposed to interoperate nicely, but I guess it's been delayed to the fall. And Apple at WWDC did kind of recommit to supporting Matter this fall. So I'm just trying to figure out which devices can I buy today that will work with Matter when it does fully come out. So that's been on my mind.
That's so cool. At the house you were at before, was there a lot of home automation there, or is this a new thing for you?
There was a lot of home automation, but it was very I had one app to do this, one app to do that, another app, and when I was in the Android ecosystem, and I had Google Home set up, it worked just fine. But since I got an iPhone, a lot of my Nest devices didn't want to connect directly to Apple Home, so I had to have two different apps to support it. So it was just it all worked, but it was very messy. And do I ask Siri to do this, or do I ask Google to do that? And I'm hoping that Matter solves a lot of that stuff.
Oh, that's exciting. Last week, Amy and I looked at Home Assistant, the open source home automation project. But I think it's vendor agnostic, I assume.
So that's what I was going to ask. Is are you planning to rely solely on Matter, or are you going to kind of switch to Home Assistant to let it talk to things via Matter, or via its own implementations where it needs it?
I'm definitely looking into Home Assistant. I had it set up at the old house just to try it out, and it worked well enough. And this was probably a year or 2 years ago. But I never really sat down, knowing that I was in the process of moving and finding a house. I never set up Home Assistant with all the routines and everything that I would want. But I will definitely kind of revisit it, especially if Matter doesn't do everything that it promises to do.
Amy says, Home Assistant on Kubernetes. Do it, Otto.
Also, I think to me, it makes sense to go to Home Assistant, because I'm almost certain that they'll start using Matter to communicate where they can. But it also means, if things don't support Matter, Home Assistant has a load of other integrations to make stuff work.
Yeah, totally. But now the big question is, do I set up Home Assistant on a home server, or do I just set it up on my computer? At the old house, I had it running on a Raspberry Pi, and it worked just fine. So lots of decisions to make.
Yeah, that is a lot of stuff to figure out. So.
Also, honestly, you can get away with just having it on a Pi.
Yeah. So that's what's on my mind.
Right, excellent.
Well, I'm looking forward to this is going to become a series like Muskwatch. It's going to become Addo's updates on Home Assistant.
Yes, Home Automation Watch. That would be fun. Beautiful. Well, I think that's it for what's on your mind. And then the last thing is upcoming events. So let's see, upcoming events. I stream most Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I wasn't feeling well on Tuesday of this week, so I am going to stream tomorrow morning. I do that on Twitch. If you want to join me, it's at DigitalOcean TV. We have Open Source Summit coming up. And I think that's all the live stuff that's happening aside from cloud chats. So please join us for our live streams. If you are watching, follow us on whatever platform so you get notifications when we go live. And I think that's about it.
Well, I guess we could also plug Open Source Summit again. That's an upcoming event.
That is an upcoming event. So that's June 21st through 24th. The tickets for Linux events, Linux Foundation events are very expensive in person, but they are much less expensive for the virtual tickets. So if you're curious about it, check out and see what the virtual tickets cost. They also often do like scholarships. So if that is still too much money, which is understandable, there are usually ways you can attend that event if you really want to. So check it out.
There we go.
All right. So Amy's usually responsible for joke of the day, and since she's not here, I don't think we have one.
I added one really quickly.
Oh, yes. All right,
There we
Otto, give it to
All
us.
So the joke of the day is, why did the functions stop calling each other?
I don't know why.
Because they had too many arguments.
Oh,
That's good.
I like it. It's also
like
very
it.
topical with our serverless launch.
There we go.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. This was a fun episode. It's always fun to interact with you in chat and on Kahoot. We'll be here next week, same time, same place. So yeah, come say hi, and we'll see you next week. So
Yeah.
take care, everyone.
In between, check out the Functions Challenge, functionschallenge.digitalocean.com.
Excellent.
There we go.
All right.
Thank
We'd
you
love,
all.
yeah, let's see your name on one of those sharks. All right. Take care.
Bye.